All right, we are back. Unit 2, solving linear equations and inequalities. As we continue this, we're going to build off of what we learned last time. I know you were dancing as you were watching the video, learning some dance steps and a song for solving the equation. Remember that? First you simplify, throw your hands up in the sky, then you distribute, and you do a little scoop. Back on screen here. Anyway, we're going to build off of that as we solve equations for a given variable. It's going to help us to rewrite equations so that we can get an equation solved for whatever variable we need. So let's get down to it and start working with some examples. Okay, so as I mentioned, rewriting equations and variables is important because we want to get a variable so that it's a function of the other one. So if we have the equation 3x plus 2y equals 8, and we want to get it y, or get the equation so that y is a function of x. That means x is the input and y is the output. So we want to get an equation so we want to find out, what's y going to be if we plug in x? We've got to get it in the form y equals. So in order to do that, we've got to solve for y. So get y alone. So subtract the x terms. So I subtract the x terms on both sides, cancels the x terms out on the left side, and I just got 2y equal to 8 minus 3x. I can't simplify and combine those like terms because they're different terms. So now I got to get this y term by itself, so I divide by 2. Divide by 2, I've got y by itself. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And negative 3 divided by 2 is negative 3.5. So I can just leave it as negative 3 halves x. So now I see that y is a function of x. Because y is solved by itself, x is the input. I can figure out if I had a value for x, I could plug it in to find out what the output is. Okay, maybe you want to try the next one, pause the video, and then see if you can get the new equation. So we're solving for y. So I'm going to get y by itself, add 2x to both sides. Leaves me with 3y on the left, 6 plus 2x. Divide by 3 to get y alone. Y equals 6 divided by 3 is 2. And 2x divided by 3 is 2/3 x. And there's my new function. Okay? So this is important for taking a formula and solving for whichever variable we need to know the output. So if we want to solve for p, we're going to get p alone. P is being multiplied by r and t. So let's just divide r and t on both sides of the equation. Cancels out on the right. I divided by rt. We don't know what either variable is, so we leave it. That's solved for p because p is all alone by itself. And that is our interest equals principal times rate times time formula. Use that with banking. Next one, profit equals income minus expenses. Solve for E. Well, we got to get E by itself. Subtract I because it's a positive I. So P minus I equals negative E. E by itself divided by negative 1. Because it's really negative 1 times E. So that gives us negative P plus I. If you really wanted, you could flip that around using the commutative property I minus P. Either way works. Next, we have the formula for the area of a triangle. Now, if I know the area and I know the height, maybe I want to figure out what the base is. So I want to solve for b. In order to get b by itself, it's multiplied by h, and then it's multiplied by half. So the last thing that happened was multiplied by half. So I'm going to multiply by its reciprocal, 2 over 1, which is just 2. Cancels out on the right, and we have 2 times a equals b times h. Get b by itself divided by h. 2 times area divided by height equals the value for the base in the triangle. And in the formula for the perimeter of a rectangle, if we want to solve for the length, L, perimeter is equal to twice the length plus twice the width. So if we want to solve for L, notice it multiplies by 2, then it adds 2W. So let's subtract the 2W. So we get P minus 2W equals 2L. And now divide by 2 to get the L by itself. So P divided by 2 minus 2W divided by 2 is just 1W equals L. We've got an L by itself. So now we've rewritten that equation for that given variable. This is used as with converting temperature. Oftentimes you'll see temperature in the Fahrenheit scale or the Celsius scale, and maybe you're familiar with Fahrenheit and it's measured in Celsius, and you wonder, well, what is the temperature in Fahrenheit? So if we have the formula C equals 5/9 times the quantity F minus 32, that tells us if we know Fahrenheit, we know the input of Fahrenheit, that'll give us an output of Celsius. But let's say, it says it's 20 degrees Celsius outside. Well, I want to know what it is in Fahrenheit. So we want to convert that formula and solve it for F. So let's get F alone. So F minus 32 times 5/9. Last thing we did is multiply by 5/9. Let's multiply by its reciprocal to cancel that out. 9/5 times C equals F minus 32. F by itself, we add 32 both sides. Now we have 9/5 times C plus 32 equals F. Okay, so that is our new equation. And now if we wanted to know, well, if it's 20 degrees Celsius, we plug that in for C. So we have 9/5 times 20 plus 32. That will give us our temperature in Fahrenheit. So 9 times 20 is 180. 180 divided by 5 would be 36. And then we add 32. And that would be equivalent to 68 degrees in Fahrenheit. So we've taken a look at how to rewrite an equation for a given variable. And we've taken a look at ways that it might be useful depending on which variable we need in a formula. We've got practice problems and any questions, applications, we can talk about that in class. See you next time.